Hugh has said, how to build self-confidence to achieve your potential and not put limits on yourself. Great question. I think that confidence comes from doing the work. And confidence, I lean into this saying that I heard, that you want competence over confidence. And what competence is being good at something, is having the skills or having the ability to execute your skills consistently. So feeling confident is a bit of it comes and it goes. The feeling comes and it goes. But if you're competent at something, you don't need to feel confident. And I've heard a sports psychologist talk about this, Jonah Oliver, who works with lots of elite athletes, and he talked about Cameron Smith, the golfer, and he spoke about how Cam Smith wasn't feeling confident when he was walking down the last 18 of the Masters, which he won, but he was competent and he had a routine that allowed him to execute his skills, even though he didn't feel confident. But I think it comes back to doing the work. I say to people, as a bit of a silly analogy, I would never feel confident if someone said, Scholes, go and stand on a stage and play the piano in front of 100,000 people, because I've never played the piano in my life. I just don't have the skill set to do that. But if someone said, Scholes, you haven't played cricket for 3 years or 4 years, but we want you to go and bat in a game on TV, well, I would have some sort of belief that I can still do it because I've got competence. I've got years of training behind me. So I think you want to lean into competence and just get as good as you possibly can at everything you do, and realize that your potential is limitless. Your potential is limitless. What Steve Smith has done in the game, what Joe Root's doing in the game, they're limitless. And Root just scored 300s in his last 3 innings. And what's to say he can't just keep getting 100 every second test match? His potential is limitless as he continues to evolve. A, they're all hungry to be the best they can be. B, they're experts with a beginner's mind, which means they're curious. They're constantly trying to get a little bit better every single day. And then they just go and put in the work, and they reflect, and they keep reflecting and learning. And Joe Root spoke recently about how during COVID, he reflected on his game and said, okay, I've been really focused on technique. Now I'm going to think about more about risk management. How do I manage the risk of batting and take away dismissals? And since then, his numbers have gone through the roof. So that was him as a 29 or 30-year-old working that out. So I think when you've put in the work, when you've got huge amounts of work beneath you and behind you, then you walk a bit taller. You think, yeah, I can do this. But when you haven't put in the work, and no 13-year-old has had 15 years of cricket training, it's not possible. You've only been alive for 13 years. You've only been able to walk for 12. You've only been hitting a ball for 8. So every 30-year-old is going to be more competent than a 13-year-old. But every year you're stacking the competence, you're stacking your abilities. And at a 15, 16-year-old, you're not going to have all the answers. You're going to make lots of mistakes. But the goal is that you keep building. And every mistake, every experience is an opportunity to learn and get better.